ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Friday, March 10th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line is open this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We got basketball to talk about because the hope continues that Marshall's going to get into the NIT. Don't know how they're going to get in the NIT, but I will wait like you on Sunday for the announcement. So we're going to keep that top of mind. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to update you on what's happening with softball and baseball, both teams in action today. But we've got to talk about first what happened this morning. So I got the notification, and the first thing going through my mind is, oh no. Because the announcement goes out, Marshall announces leadership change for women's basketball. And first thing I thought was, oh, Marshall's let Tony Kemper go. And thankfully, it wasn't that scenario. Instead, Tony Kemper making the announcement that he accepted the same position at Central Arkansas. So he has resigned as the basketball coach for the women's program. Personally, I am... sometimes you cover a team and you build bonds and relationships with people. It's going to happen. And I had a really great working relationship over the years with Tony Kemper. I talked to him today. I'm not going to go into all the details, but he's doing fine. And we had a good relationship. He was very appreciative of me, and I wasn't asking for that, and he told me he appreciated everything I did for him. And I was a big fan of his. So, I'm still trying to process this a little bit, because, again, you build these relationships, you think to yourself, this is a good guy. He does it right. He runs a clean program. I mean, his record might not be the very best, but I'm going to be fair and quite blunt. Sometimes he didn't have the resources he needed. There were times where staffing levels were very low for Marshall, and so I think he did the very best he could with what he had. Now, I think Marshall is going to be on the upswing, but he takes this position, leaving Marshall, going to Central Arkansas. In talking to him, this is the right move for him, and I respect that. So now Marshall's on the hunt for a coach. And then following this announcement, the name that kept coming up, not just on social media, but a couple of people have said to me today that Marshall needs to go after Kim Stevens, head coach of Glenville State. The Glenville State Pioneers head coach, Kim Stevens, needs to be the first phone call if that call hasn't already been made. If you don't know her resume, it's pretty spectacular, including a Division II title last year. Now, Glenville State's in action. That's coming up. They're in the Atlantic Regional. They're the 1 seed, taking on Elizabeth City. So we're going to be following along Glenville State, see how well they do this year in that program's quest to win another Division II title. But Tony Kemper leaves Marshall with a 17-14 record this season. He was 9-9 in Sun Belt play. Lost in the quarterfinals to JMU. JMU ultimately won the Sun Belt on the women's side. Lost that one 62-43. Overall, coach's record was 79-90. 46-56 in league play. And I felt that he was close. There were signs of this program is maybe better than that record. There's signs that this program is going to turn the corner because there were some lean years. And honestly, I don't think COVID helped. COVID didn't help a lot of programs. I think that the resources were not available to the women's program. And look at what's happening now at Marshall University. Things are turning around in so many ways. So this isn't a bad program for a coach to step into and try to take it to the next level. Not at all. But you look at the top candidate. I don't think you have any other candidates that come to mind for this job. You bring in someone, if you can, who last year won as the coach the title, the Division II title. Impressive so far in her run as the head coach. And could she bring that excitement? Can she bring that level of basketball to Marshall? So she's got to be the first phone call, right? If it hasn't already been made, she's got to be the first phone call. I don't know if there's another name out there that you would look at. So her name keeps coming up today, and I'm talking to a couple other people. Yeah, you would think that there might be some coaches out there that might want to give this job a shot, but I don't know if it's, hey, we're going to call you and be interested in your position that's opening up, or it's, hey, we'll let you know if we're interested. Yeah, I don't know if this is a situation where coaches are lobbying for this job, or will Marshall go out and get the coach at once. But there you go. That's the big story today. And so, that came to a shock to me. And I'm not going to lie to you. I've developed a pretty good friendship outside of athletics with Tony Kemper. He's a good guy, runs a good program. Not a complaint, never a crossword, never was someone that wasn't pleasant to deal with. You know what I'm saying? A terrible taste in football, though. He's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I just want to point that out. So, one day when I get that random text from him pointing out that if the Bengals beat the Chiefs, that it was the Bengals Super Bowl or something. He talked about it as if that was the Bengals' big game. That was the Bengals like SEC championship or something. If they beat the Chiefs, and other than the AFC championship game, after that text, the Bengals pretty much shut down the Chiefs, and I never let him live that down. So now the Bengals take on the Chiefs again and win. I won't get that face-to-face satisfaction, but this does open the door for a new coach at Marshall University, so you got to be excited from that standpoint. Always hate to see a coach go. I know that might not ring true to some of you. There are some of you that want to see some coaches go. There are some of you that have called me over the years wanting to see coaches go. There have been some of you that have called me over the years wanting me to help push the coach out. And then there's been a coach or two that I would have driven out of town. Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. There have been a time or two where I would have gladly driven the coach out of town to the next destination. Helped them pack. That was a long time ago. I'm far, far, far more kinder and gentler now. I've mellowed. I think I've mellowed in my old age. I don't know. I really do. I think I've mellowed a little bit. I'm not as all full of fire and venom like I used to be. I don't think so anyway. So our text line this hour is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll discuss this a little bit further. What do you think? You think we're onto something here? Kim Stevens, Glenville State, should be the first and only phone call to be the next head coach at Marshall University. You bring someone in who, again, is a proven winner, a graduate of Glenville State, a Parkersburg, West Virginia native, successful. You win a national championship, you got to be doing something right. Or if you compete for national championships, you got to be doing something right. mean, look at Chris Grassi. You brought him up. He brought you a national championship. And so this could be an opportunity for Marshall to reinvest in women's basketball the way that the program is already reinvesting in baseball. I see it, and hopefully all the other sports. So we'll get into this more. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Are there other names out there? Every athletic director should have a short list at all times. It should be an exercise. There should be like a little folio, a little notebook, or you keep it on your phone. I don't know. Like, if I lost this coach today, whose number can I call tonight? If Coach Huff left tomorrow, who can I call? If Coach D'Antoni is no longer with the team, who can I call? And the list goes on and on. You should always have sort of in the back of your mind, okay, if that position opens up, I know the next coach we're going to. I know what direction we might look at. So maybe there's already a short list, but if Kim Stevens isn't on that list from Glenville State, guess what? We're going to put her on there. Definitely would be a tremendous coach to hire and bring into the program. So our text line is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll start getting your text in on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Our phone line this hour, and this is a great way for you to text the program. It's 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. You can also find me on Twitter. I'm at Paul Swann. I got a couple of tweets on the subject earlier today about Tony Kemper leaving Marshall University, resigning to take the same position at Central Arkansas. One tweeter said, Marshall is Central Arkansas, 3 thumbs down. It's a family move. I totally respect it. It's a family move. Going home, spent a lot of his career there, coming up the ranks. It's an opportunity for him to be closer to home. It's an opportunity for him to probably, it's family. That's just the way I'm trying to describe it. It's family. It's about family. Sometimes you take a job for obvious reasons. It's going to elevate your career. Other times you take a job because it's a good job and it's going to benefit you and your family more. So, sometimes you take jobs not because you want to leave Marshall. And honestly, when I talked to Coach earlier, and again, I'm not going to get into all our details, but he told me, he said, I always wanted to be a son of Marshall. I mean, he put in 11 good years at Marshall University. That's a lifetime for a lot of coaches. So he always wanted to be a son of Marshall, and he definitely put in the work, and he bled green. He was a herd coach through and through. So this is a family move. Got to take care of your family. Also from Twitter, this is not a lateral move. No, it's not a lateral move. It's a move to go into that position that's best for you. I mean, sometimes you take a position because it's better for you. If you're looking for a spot higher up the rung, you're trying to climb that ladder, I don't know if you take this position or not. And, of course, the name came out earlier today as well that, Glenville State head coach Kim Stevens should get an interview. From our text line, absolutely, Kim Stevens is a heck of a coach and comes from a basketball family, but Marshall will have to invest in women's basketball because Glenville State has to keep her after last year. If Marshall does not get her, some other D1 will eventually. And texter adds, her father was a good high school coach and played at Pitt. 2 sisters play D1 basketball as well. If you want to upgrade your coaching position, doesn't matter the position. This is football, basketball, baseball, any sport that you have, if you want to upgrade, you're going to have to invest in the program. And you bring in a new coach, of course, a new coach is going to come in and want certain things. Going to evaluate the program, look at the opportunity. I mean, there'll be some coaches that take the job because it's a great opportunity. Hey, it's an opportunity to move up. I get to be a D1 coach. There are other coaches that know their value, and they'll come in and go, okay, if you want me to do this right, here's what it's going to have to be. This is what we're going to need here out of this program. And in the release, athletic director Christian Spears said that as Marshall moves forward, the focus is on finding a candidate to take the Thundering Herd women's basketball program to a championship level in the Sun Belt while building excitement within the community. The quote is, as we prepare for the future of Marshall women's basketball, we are grateful for our tremendous community, for our campus leadership, and for our championship opportunities in the Sun Belt. We know that these attributes will help us recruit someone who shares our goals of building a championship program that is connected within our community while ensuring that our student athletes have a remarkable experience while they're here at Marshall University. So if you're going after a coach, someone who has championship credibility, and if you're going after a coach that has connections to the state, then the first phone call should have already been made to Kim Stevens, Glenville State. Not just because the championship last season, but already establishing consistency and a championship level program. Texter writes in, wants to remind me, just in case I didn't know, and I knew, softball just keeps on winning. Marshall beating Winthrop today 8-1. Herd's now 19-3. I believe that's a 9-game win streak. If I've done my math correctly, that's a 9-game win streak. So the Herd's off to its best start in softball. Tremendous, tremendous season so far. I can't wait to see this team get in the Sun Belt. Sun Belt looks pretty solid in softball. I can't wait to see what the competition looks like there for the program. And maybe Marshall will win its first team championship in the Sun Belt from softball. Maybe it's softball that brings home the first title. Wouldn't surprise me. Basketball had its shot to bring home a regular season crown. Football, I think, will compete. Soccer, I thought, was going to be the first team sport to bring it home, but that didn't happen. So maybe it's softball. Megan Smith Lions got them rocking right now. So they're 19-3. 8-1 win over Winthrop. And while we're talking about it, baseball today, coming from behind, beating Canisius 8-2. Herd's now 7-4. That's a good start. I'll take that. With a new baseball park a year away, waiting for a new facility while you're playing at Route 2 and then playing in Charleston. One more season of this, and then you don't have to be the road warriors of professional or college or high school baseball anymore. You don't have to be that team. I don't think any team has traveled more outside of its home city by schedule than the Marshall Thundering Herd. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And then I hope we see people show up for baseball. That'll be the nice thing. You build a brand new stadium. Hopefully fans will show up. That would be where this program needs to go. Build excitement, consistency. Afternoon baseball, maybe, who knows? Paul Swann can take off from work, go down to the ballpark and get away with it. Maybe. I'm not sure. We'll find out. I'm going to be pushing that, though. Hey, we need to be there today. We need to be covering this. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Let's get more of your text in. We'll talk more about Marshall basketball, both men and women, when we continue with this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Our text line this hour is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Let's check in on some of the action taking place in college basketball. I'm going to start with the Mid-American Conference. I'm keeping an eye on the matchup between Ohio and Toledo. Got 7:58 to go in the first there. Toledo is leading Ohio 21-15. I miss those days. Some of you don't. I get it. I'm not going to start that fight. But I do miss some of those days in the Mid-American Conference. Far as the rest of the scoreboard, We've got teams, we're losing teams. We got Kentucky coming up tonight, taking on Vanderbilt. That should be an interesting one, to say the least. And, of course, we've got coming up tonight on our sister station, Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. It's the Girls Sweet 16. It's at Rupp Arena. Ashland yesterday beat Knott County Central 46-34. So the Kittens take on McCracken County. And we go on the air at 5:45 on Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. So we're looking forward to seeing the Ashland Kittens get to the championship game. So we're running out of teams locally, though. Boys tournaments will start next week, but most of the girls that we've been following are now out. So really the only thing that we've got left is to follow what's happening across the spectrum. Big Ten, how did Ohio State do today? Would you like to know? I'm going to tell you. And the Buckeyes won, beating Michigan State 68-58. So the 13 with the victory over the 4. Purdue beat Rutgers earlier today, 70-65. Coming up tonight, it's going to be Penn State, Northwestern, and then Maryland and Indiana. I've been following some of these tournaments only because, hey, the ACC, I was following the ACC. We've got those games coming up tonight, 6:30 here on ESPN, 94.1 and AM 930. I was following the ACC because trying to figure out, all right, what happens if this team wins and this team loses? And North Carolina lost. So a lot of things that I'm hearing, a lot of people are talking. With that loss, it doesn't look like North Carolina is getting into the NCAA tournament. So they're going to be a shoo-in for the NIT, don't you think? And that's going to eliminate Marshall's chances even further. I'm not saying it's a done deal just yet, but I don't see a path forward here. The way these tournaments are shaking up right now, there's not going to be that many spots left. And so here we are once again talking about, does Marshall have a shot in the NIT? And will Marshall take a lesser tournament? And should Marshall take a lesser tournament? I can't answer the will at this moment. I will answer the should, and the should is should not. NIT or nothing is my feeling here. Set your standards to the NCAA. If you can't get into the NCAA, have a strong enough case for the NIT, go from there. I didn't like it when Marshall played in the CIT. I was on board with it because John Elmore was trying to break the record set by Skip Henderson. And I like John. I like those guys. They seem to be down for it. So we got extra games to get that record. And he got the record. Then they won the thing. And we were all happy. What did it do for Herd basketball? You got a banner. Yeah, you got this little banner. It was nice. Put up a banner. But did it help the program? I don't know. I'm not a big fan of those tournaments. I'm a bigger fan of the NIT. I've actually liked the NIT for a long time because I've always felt that there were some strong teams in the NIT that maybe deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. It's got prestige. It's an older tournament. It's been around. It was the tournament for a long time. You know, not living in the past here, but it's got some prestige to its name. You win the NIT, you've accomplished something. Yeah, I would feel a lot better putting an NIT trophy in the trophy case. Now, with that said, I'll put any trophy in the trophy case, but you've got like the bowling trophies. You know what I'm talking about? You know, you win your bowling league and you put that up, and that's nice because, you know, you competed for that. And you take that trophy, and then maybe you've got trophies that are higher level. We need a tier list of trophies. I'll put bowling trophy mid maybe, only because, hey, it's hard to bowl. You just don't go out there and throw that thing. Think about it. All right. Text line 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. My favorite kind of text. You have permission. You are allowed to disagree with the host. And I will put your text front and center. Texter says, I have to disagree, Paul. I'd be thankful for any postseason tournament. We can keep playing and get more exposure. Get something to salvage the season. What are they playing for, though? Are they playing for exposure? I mean, what kind of exposure are we talking about here? How many people are tuning in to watch the CBI? How many people are tuning in for that? Marshall fans are tuning in. Sure, Marshall fans would tune in. Better believe it. If Marshall's playing in the CBI, Marshall fans are tuning in. If you go to the CBI, though, there's no home games. Daytona Beach is where those games are being played. So if you win the CBI, how does that salvage the season? Yeah, you get a trophy. And again, trophies are cool. I like trophies. I like winning things. Absolutely like winning things. But what's the value of playing one of those tournaments? Is it to say you won something? I mean, we're not chasing a record now. Tavion got the record. He got John's record. So now he's the all-time leading scorer. Anything extra is just padding. And remember when Marshall used to play in those things and team didn't want to be there and lose maybe the first round or second round, and how much of a funk we were in as a community? Can't believe we lost in this thing. Should have won this thing. If the team's all for it, okay, we're going to see it happen. But I don't see it happening. I don't know. I don't know if I want to set my sights that low. I don't want to be a program that's known for multiple bids in the CBI or the whatever the tournament is the CIT turned into. Also from the text line, opportunity to play teams we normally wouldn't. I admit you have valid points. And you know what? I don't dismiss your points as well. I appreciate the text. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to this. What do you get out of this? Is the value of playing in the tournament worth the effort? Is it worth the effort to get into one of those lower rung tournaments? Is the value there? The value is there. Go for it. If you just want to see the Herd play basketball again, and that's fair. Like, hey, I want to see the Herd play again. Okay. So if Marshall gets into a tournament and can host a game, I want to see a sellout. If Marshall gets into, say, the NIT and can get a home game, I want to see a sellout. I would love to see a sellout for that. Now, if Marshall gets into the CBI, the College Basketball Invitational, and there are teams already accepting bids to the CBI. So some of the bids have already gone out. It's going to be played in Daytona Beach, Florida, March 18th to 22nd. It's a 16-team single elimination format. And the first team to publicly accept the bid, University of Southern Indiana. So they're in. And that might be a good thing for them. I don't know the state of Southern Indiana basketball. Now, if you look at the other tournament, and the CBI to me, probably of the two that follow the NIT, the CBI seems to be maybe the more prestigious of the two. I use that word carefully. Then you have the college, what used to be the CIT, the collegeinsiders.com postseason tournament. It's now the Basketball Classic, if you're not familiar with the name change. The Basketball Classic. It is presented by Eracism. And here's the deal with this tournament. It is a tournament. It's announced after the NIT, and I don't have the schedule for it this year. Here's the deal with this. I don't know if this is going to bring exposure to the herd. That's the one thing. I just don't know if this is going to bring exposure to the herd. The games are going to be held on campus locations. That's the thing about this tournament. Held on campus locations. All gate receipts will be collected by the Basketball Classic. All gate receipts collected by the Basketball Classic. Schools can host Classic games without the responsibility of an additional financial commitment. And last year, the games were carried, I believe, on ESPN+. If I understand correctly. If I understand how this thing works this year. I would rather take a CBI bid than go to this thing. If you have to pin me down, like, okay, Paul, we're taking one. Which one do you want? I'll take the CBI. But keep that in mind. You're going to be playing on campus locations. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Held on campus locations. All gate receipts will be collected by the Basketball Classic. So it's not one of those situations where you're trying to lobby for the home spot, right? How many people are going to go to this thing? And if you tell me that Marshall got into the Basketball Classic, that the Cam Henderson Center will be sold out, and if you could show me that, I'd be all for it. Absolutely. Sell out the Henderson Center for the Basketball Classic. I think I'd rather take the CBI if I'm taking a tournament, but that depends on the mood of the team also. We haven't factored that in. How's this team feel? Does this team want to end the season or play in this tournament? Or does this team think that, okay, we've done what we've done and we're good with it, and the team members that are coming back, we'll see you next year. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. More coming up on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Our text line this hour is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Back to the text line. When Marshall wins CBI, will you commit to wearing the striped basketball warm-ups to celebrate? I'm not buying one. If I'm provided with one, if Marshall wins the CBI, I will sport those warm-up pants. I want some new shoes in this, though. I'm going to throw this back. I want some Kelly Green shoes with those warm-ups. I get the full outfit, right? I get the full outfit. We're not talking just the pants. I get all the gear. If that's the deal. I get all the gear. I get Kelly Green shoes. I get the warm-ups. I get a personalized jersey, and I want Tavion Kinsey and Andrew Taylor to sign a basketball for me. That's my counter proposal. That's what I want. I know what I'm worth. And I think I'm at least worth some Kelly Green shoes and a basketball signed by Tavion Kinsey and Andrew Taylor. I'm worth that. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Of course, that would mean Marshall is actually going to play in the CBI. Which, if Marshall's going to play in one of these things, I'd rather it be the CBI than the Basketball Classic. Marshall's done that. Let's not go back. I'd rather not go to any of these, to be honest with you. But CBI, I'll take the CBI over the Basketball Classic. I don't see the value here. I don't feel that there's much value in these tournaments. The NIT, I feel like there's some value there. There's better exposure, a little bit more of attention. I think there's more prestige. These other tournaments have the dubious honor of being known as pay-to-play tournaments. So I don't think this builds the program up any. I really don't believe that this enhances the program. I don't think this helps propel you forward, especially with a guy like Tavion Kinsey no longer going to be there. This is it. I know there's some of you worried that Andrew Taylor might decide not to come back. And there's always that transfer portal that's wide open. Players might decide, it was real, but not for me. Once upon a time, if you would have told me that you could get some extra games in, I might be a little bit more willing to listen to you, because players just couldn't transfer out. Now, don't like the situation, can transfer out and find a new spot, get in the transfer portal, and then what have you done? Honestly, what have you done? It's a nice thought to think once upon a time, get some extra games. I mean, that was how Marshall football was so successful back in those 1AA days, because Marshall was playing in the postseason every year and making it to the championship game almost every year. Think of all the extra games the Thundering Herd got in that time span. When Marshall was cooking in the 1AA days, Marshall was getting all that extra time. That means extra time with the team, extra reps, extra everything. And a lot of that could carry over. And you just couldn't transfer a portal out. And the benefit when Marshall was in the 1AA days was players could transfer down. Marshall sort of like the destination. Player wasn't feeling it at Division I, could go down to 1AA immediately and be eligible. And it worked out with a program like Marshall being successful, winning games, competing for championships, and some of the best 1AA programs were able to take advantage of that. It's completely different now. You don't like the time of day. You don't like the weather outside Huntington right now. You could just transfer out, go somewhere else. It's not that easy, but you get my point. So we'll find out when we come back on Monday. When we re-adjourn on Monday, we're going to find out. Will Marshall, whatever happens, will Marshall be in a postseason tournament? Will it be the NIT? Will it be the Basketball Classic? Will it be the CBI? Or We'll be talking next week about Marshall not going to the NIT and then what is next for the program. I think that'll be a good time to reevaluate and see where everything's at for Marshall men's basketball. But if the Herd gets a NIT bid, which I don't feel happening, it doesn't feel like there's going to be an opportunity for the Herd to get into the NIT just the way everything's shaping up. And I don't think that a social media campaign is going to change anyone's mind. I'm all for it. I'm here for it. I would use every tool at my disposal, but I don't think that Marshall's going to get in by strength of social media lobbying. Tavion's a wonderful player, but will that be enough to get you into the NIT? I mean, he's a fantastic player. He was a delight to be around. He was tremendous to watch. It was a fun season. Unfortunately, fell short. And I don't know if the Sun Belt's got enough juice to get a second team in the NIT, especially the way that certain teams are falling out of conference tournaments. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you today. I appreciate it. I'll be back here on Monday. We will do it all over again here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. You can always join the program by texting in, and you can text every single day or tweet, especially Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Paul Swann. Let me know how it's going. That's going to do it for this edition. I'm waiting for Monday already. I wish we could just do the Monday show now. We'll know everything then. Have a great weekend, everyone.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.